Okay, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. We are just members of Jasmine Sullivan's World. Yes, I was watching, or I shouldn't say that. I didn't watch any shows. I was doing other shit. I was like cleaning and doing laundry today. But I did go and get this bottle from Trader Joe's. It is called Growers Reserve red wine from California. It's about $6. Very cheap bottle. If you guys didn't know, this is my dollar store glass. So it was $1 at the dollar store. And we're going to talk some shit tonight. We're going to talk about women's health. There's a couple reasons that we're going to talk about this. But we're going to start with an email that I got the other day, which I think is a really great start. So I'm subscribed to the Daily Wire. It's kind of like that conservative right platform where Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro they produce content out of that organization. But I got this email, and I thought it was so informed by the email in a positive way. Like, I think he put this out, or they put this out with this idea of whatever they believe is like a bad idea. But for me, it was super informational, and I'm actually just going to read it out here because it's so informational that I feel like it's a great starting point. So, and for context, I'm in California right now. That's the state that I'm living in. California moves further left on abortion. Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, from the Morning Wire. You can subscribe to this newsletter too. Get it straight to your email and read these for yourself. California moves further left on abortion. The top line. California is already known as a progressive blue state, but now it's pushing to lead the nation in abortion access. Woo! Quote of the day. Today, California stands as a proud reproductive freedom state where we're committed to not just protecting the constitutional right to abortion, but expanding access to reproductive care. Governor Gavin Newsom. So recent moves. Over the past year, California has passed several bills and proposals that either expand access to abortion or protect the procedure in some way. Last week, Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom signed the Abortion Accessibility Act, which gets rid of out-of-pocket expenses from insurers and health plans for abortion and other related services. In most cases, women in California can now get an abortion for free. Now, this is true. In terms of timing, Newsom was direct in a statement about the legislation. He has also called out other states that have recently moved to pass pro-life legislation. I'll just read this next part. Prioritizing abortion. Last year, Newsom announced that California was going to be a sanctuary for abortion, welcoming women who would likely come to California seeking abortions if they're made legal in other states. In the fall, the governor signed a few other related bills designed to create protections around abortion. For example, a new privacy law puts restrictions on recording or taking photos near clinics that perform abortions. Okay, so here is the reason why I'm actually making this video. I'm making it today because, like, today I got when is this even dated? So 2 weeks ago I got like a yeast infection. And so I had to go get like medication for that. And so I use Planned Parenthood as like my entire reproductive health clinic or whatever. Like I use Carbon Health as like my primary care station, but they actually don't have like women's care options. So like I can't see an OBGYN there or like a nurse practitioner for like feminine things or abortion services there. So I personally use Planned Parenthood. Okay. And then like today, I think like I have a lot of underwear. You guys know I have a panty wall. Well, if you don't know, I have a panty wall. And I think that what happened is, like, after I got the yeast infection and then cured that, it killed off the good bacteria in my vagina too. And then it might have been something with like the man, it could be the laundry detergent, soap. There's so many things that could make, really shit happen in your vagina. But today I went to go pick up Vagisil and Monistat. Okay, so Vagisil is basically an anti-itch cream. So if you have like an itch going on in your vagina, then you can put the Vagisil cream on the lips of the vagina or whatever else is like itchy. And then you have Monistat, which are these like applicators. So I just got the 3-day one. And you put this, it's kind of like a tampon. You insert it into your vagina at night, and you do this for 3 nights, and then it just kind of gets your it cures most yeast infections and relieves external itching and irritation. So that's what Monistat is for. Okay, so I also want to talk for a second about abortions. So, like, I am in my life, I am a person who's had abortions. And I just want to talk about like what they are. And I actually had a lot of growing up. And I feel like some people, I've said this to you, but I'll just say it again. So I didn't start having sex until I was like in my mid-20s, right? Like, so there, like when I was in high school, I wasn't having sex. When I was like early college, like I wasn't either. So when I first started having sex, also like all of my boyfriends, most of the serious ones have been like older than me by at least 7 or 10 years. So these are like grown men with like careers and properties and stuff. And so like my most serious ex, I actually got an abortion. He was very passionate about having children. Now, I did not want to have his children. I didn't really want to have any children at all. But so I got pregnant, and what I did is I just went to Planned Parenthood. And if your child is less than like 13 months, they will give you basically a pill. So it's called misfispirol or something. And basically what it does is it like stops the hormones that are feeding the fetus, and empties your uterus, which causes you to basically like to discharge your all of the contents that are in your uterus, virtually causing you to like pee out the baby, kind of like blood when you're having a period. So you basically have a period that stops your pregnancy, but you can only do this up to like 10 weeks. So after 10 weeks, you can no longer have a pill abortion. You have to have a surgical abortion where they put you to sleep, and they have to go into your uterus and kind of like scrape the baby out virtually. I don't know when the latest date that you can get that done. I think it's like 10 to 19 weeks. But what I want to talk about here is because I had to have this conversation with this high schooler who has been like kind of approaching me for just advice about how to like she is in a pretty serious relationship with her boyfriend. They've been in a relationship for about a year, and they are thinking about having sex now. She's a high schooler. I told you guys, like, I wasn't having sex in high school. I actually don't encourage any, like, she is I think she's like a biracial black girl, but she's a girl of color, we'll say that. And I do think there's just not enough people having honest conversations about sexual health for girls. And that's crazy to me because you guys are on the internet with Shan Boudry, and this bitch talks about sex 24/7. So maybe everyone's not like hip to what's going on in Canada, and you guys just don't pay attention to like Natalie Tran and Shan Boudry and everybody in Canada who's been having whole ass lived experiences that are enlightening us all to what it's like to be like black and progressive. But anyway, yeah, so I was basically telling her, like, I don't think you're ready to have sex, I think you need to wait. This is what I told her. And then I was like, okay, well, here's what I will say. If you are thinking about having sex with your boyfriend, first of all, you need to have a real ass conversation with him about like what this means in terms of your feelings if you guys do decide to actually have the sex. And she's like, oh no, we've talked about it a lot. We both feel ready. And I was like, I mean, I'm not you. I'm not in your relationship. I can't tell you how you feel about him, how he feels about you, how serious it is. Like, I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but I'm going to be one to give her pragmatic information. So I was like, okay, before we go any further, tell me about your OBGYN. And she was like, I don't have one. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I don't have an OBGYN. And I was like, well, okay, stop right now. You can't have sex yet. You know, she was like, what are you talking about? I was like, so you don't have an OBGYN. And then I realized maybe too many people are sitting here getting their medical advice over the internet and Google. But like, if you are in the United States right now, especially if you're in California, Medi-Cal is a thing. So you can just go online and apply for Medi-Cal. And if you go to, and I think Planned Parenthood is actually accessible in every state now. So if you just go to Planned Parenthood and you actually don't have any insurance, they will help you sign up for whatever the free insurance option is, even if it's Obamacare, that right there in the clinic, so that you can be seen that day. And they just offer a wide range of services. STD testing, you can get medications for whatever it is that you have. If you just need to get like regular OBGYN care, like in her case, she could just go and start to talk about birth control options and really just start talking about the fact that she's like interested in thinking about having sex with her boyfriend. And they call it like a general female health appointment. Okay. So like, if you are a person who's like, you started having sex and you don't have an OBGYN, so stop right now, like call, I will put some more information in this description box, but Planned Parenthood has a 24-hour line that you can call. Okay. They also have a website, and they have clinics in 50 states at this point. And if your state is one of the states that has outlawed abortion, you can take a Greyhound bus and come to California, have your abortion, and then go home to your state if you really feel that's necessary. Otherwise, you can just get a one-way ticket and figure out your life. I've made other videos about how to adult without your family, without any support of anyone. Or please comment on this video and I will give you personal advice, okay, on how to do it. But also I want to say that, I mean, I've had to build these communities for myself, or at least find them, but there are a lot of communities on the internet of Black women, Black female adults who would like happily talk to you about stuff. But I think some of you guys are growing up in families where unfortunately you're around those Black women who don't really care about the youth that much. I call them like, they're like youth snatchers, because like they did all this shit when they were young. There's all these things they didn't know. And instead of like informing the next generation and trying to make it better, they don't really do that shit. What they do is they'd be like, oh, well, I have this information for me, so I'm just going to keep it for me and my daughter or whatever. And they watch everyone else just kind of like burn and fly. And I don't want that to happen. I understand if your family is trash like mine, it's okay, girl. Like, I had to save myself too. And here's the thing. Like, if you're watching this video, you can save yourself. Because here's the honest truth. In adulthood, there are some relationships that are necessary, and the relationships with your family members are not a part of that group. Here are the relationships that I really feel like are mandatory. A relationship with your therapist, getting talk therapy. That one's a pretty useful one to have. Even if you're not going like regularly, like every week, just understanding how to get access to talk therapy if some really critical shit happens. Also, I got a lot of resources from a trauma prevention, or a trauma recovery center, because I'm starting trauma recovery next month, because I talked in my other video about the rape that have happened to me in my life that I have never gotten treatment for. And so I met a friend who had a really awful experience in San Francisco surrounding like rape, and she introduced me to the Trauma Recovery Center, which offers like free trauma therapy. It's like a 20-week sort of program, which is free. I am going to participate in that, so I'm excited about that. And maybe I'll actually make more content about what I talk about in those sessions. And where else was I going with this? Yeah. So, you need a relationship with your therapist. You need a relationship with your primary care physician, or like a primary clinic. Clinics are real, okay? If you haven't figured out like a primary care sort of situation with a facility that you trust, go to a clinic. But you do need to start somewhere where you're able to manage, like as an adult, you need to manage like something is gonna happen, you know, like it maybe you might suffer from a panic attack, maybe, you know, you might have like I had an issue a couple of years ago where I had to have like a emergency surgery, you know, and so at least my primary care physician was able to kind of like understand what my history was and, you know, talk through it. But you do need to have somewhere where you go where when something might not go right, you might suffer from an asthma attack. There's just like all this shit that is a part of like being an adult where you are going to need to go to your primary care physician for something, and they might have to refer you to somewhere else. And so you also need a relationship with like a dentist of some sort. So I only go like once a year, but you know, during that general checkup, they're just basically telling you if you have any cavities, if there's anything like surgical that needs to happen, and then they do a deep cleaning. But otherwise, you know, as an adult, you should pretty much know how to take care of your teeth right now. But if you also grew up in a household where you weren't getting like regular dental care two or three times a year, that's probably an issue. So now you're an adult and you need to go solve that shit for yourself. I think Medi-Cal comes with a dental cal plan. And you should probably have, you know, what is it called? A vision specialist, someone to get your eyes checked, you know, once a year, just to make sure if, you know, you start to lose your vision or you need glasses or something, that whatever your plan is, it will at least come with one free pair of glasses that you can get that will help you, you know, with your reading or your vision if you need that. And then, yeah, you need relationships with whoever your employer is, so your manager. And those are basically the critical relationships. I would encourage you to start to form meaningful relationships with one or two friends. You know, have some meaningful relationships with people like who you regularly check in with. You have your therapist who, when real shit is going on, you can honestly unpack what's going on with them. But the friendships are just there to be like, oh, you know, here's the major stuff that's going on in my life. Here are my goals. You know, you can kind of talk to them about what it's like as you're moving forward and accomplishing your goals, as you get more degrees, as you apartment search, you know, as you do all the normal shit that's a part of adulting. You know, you just have other people who you could reach out with, maybe get coffee 1 or 2 times a year, but also, I mean, a month or, you know, every few months or whatever, but also to be clear, like, and another girl, I think it's the Fancy Feminine chick, she made a video about this. People are overemphasizing like friendships in adulthood because girls do not have that many friends. Okay, there are some girls who go out sometimes in packs and shit, and you'll see them all in groups, but I just want to be clear, those are not the girls who have figured out adulting. Okay, if you need to be around that many bitches this often, you clearly have no sense of autonomy, because like they're like everybody's schedule is just different. Okay, like I have a place where my rent is due, of formalities on how I pay it and all my other bills and all the other things that I'm responsible for. This doesn't have anything to do with any of the other girls, right? Like all the other friends that I have are like doing this shit on their own too. We're all navigating adulthood. This doesn't have anything to do with other women. Like if you are in a serious relationship with some guy, it would have something to do with him. But if you're not, then it's just you, and like it's okay. Like that's what the rest of us adults in society are doing. We are taking care of ourselves, okay? And taking care of your health is also a real thing, especially because a lot of you girls are like fat, bro. Like y'all need to have a relationship with the gym or with the trail in your community, okay? You need to go out and take some nature walks. Have a relationship with the grocery store too, okay? And figure out how to buy your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and cook at home. It's okay to go out to dinner once in a while, go out to breakfast once in a while, but you also need to figure out how to cook the shit in your fridge. And if that's too much, start with a fucking TV dinner, okay? I just learned how to cook chicken in the oven like last year. So get a rice maker, bitch, and move it forward, okay? So, yeah, that's actually pretty much what I wanted to say. But I will say at the beginning of the day, yeah, it was really bad. Like, my yeast infection was, like, not a fucking joke. That shit was, like, super itchy. And, yeah, I think this month my pH has been completely off because like I said, guys, like I cut off all my relationships with guys, so it has nothing to do with the guy at all. It's just more like Sometimes, it's the seasons. Maybe it could be something I included in my diet. Maybe I had some new meat, or it could really be anything, right? That will literally like throw your pH off. And now you have to go through this whole thing where you're trying to get your bacteria back in order. Sometimes this might require you tossing out all your underwear, buying new underwear. Maybe you have to switch your laundry detergents around. There's a million reasons, right, what might happen. But like another thing that, I've had to do this in the past, like after I recover from like a yeast infection, I have to like bathe, do like just water baths, sometimes like 2 times a day, because like the tissue around your vagina is like very, very sensitive, especially like in adulthood. And like, I mean, I'm just gonna be real here. Like, all my boyfriends eat pussy, so like that's like a real thing. And it's kind of like if I'm going through something where my pH is off, like I don't even feel comfortable like having sex. So it's like we're not doing that right now. Like I'm dealing with some stuff on my own. And then it's also like I have realized a lot of women of color who haven't really grown up in the upper middle class don't know much about how food impacts your pH. So including produce in your diet is like really, really important. Okay, like having fruits and vegetables of all kind, whole grains, water, tea, coffee, like those types of things. Like you do need about 8 glasses of water every single day. Soda, I mean, it's okay to have like one soda a week or something, but soda and juice cannot be your primary sources of drink. Okay. And also being a productive adult, I understand if you need the coffee or the tea, but you also have to include the water. That's critical. I mean, you guys see, like, I really like wine, so I definitely be drinking wine at night, but I also drink water in the daytime. And I walk. I walk a lot. So, yeah, those are things. And I think, I just hope more women in adulthood. And another thing here is what I would encourage you to do. And there's a lot of other women who talk about this, but, get a mirror. I have like a magnifying mirror. This one's kind of grungy, but I spent a lot of time with it today, kind of checking stuff out because I was like, oh my God, my vagina's so red. And like, really look at your vagina. I don't know how to say it. Like, look at it, okay, and figure out like what's going on down there. Like, don't be ashamed to just like look at your vagina. When you go to your OBGYN, they're going to look at your vagina. It is like a normal thing that happens. And I would encourage you to also just get comfortable like sitting your bottom in water. It's called a bath. But I mean, not just like one bath once a month and you're like, oh my God, I'm being luxurious. But I mean like a part of like, for instance, when I have my period, right, like every morning when I wake up, it's, like when you have period blood at night, like what I do is I get up in the morning, I run it's like a warm water in the tub, and I put just like a little dab of soap in the water, but then I like sit in the tub and I like kind of like wash off all the blood that's down there. And I do that. I sit in the tub for like 30 minutes. I'll just listen to a song. And then I get up and I start my day with like clean underwear. And I like, empty my K-cup. Like every morning when I'm on my period, I do that. I don't know if that's normal for other women, but like that is a normal part of like my routine, down there. And also I want to say, because I feel like many people are getting really comfortable with talking about like, oh, does her pussy taste like water, or, this and that, or talking about women's smells. So I'm just going to brush on that here. But these are conversations you should feel comfortable having with your female healthcare provider. There are certain smells that are pretty like normal, but if you start to have a smell that is like when you're just standing up, you can like smell yourself, that's a problem. Like you shouldn't be able to smell your vagina when you are fully clothed. If you can, and it's not like you are basically like whiffing it out, you probably have some shit going on down there. Like you might have like a yeast infection. You might have like your bacteria might be out of whack. Like there's a lot of reasons why you could have a smell. And you do need to go see your OB They can give you medication for that. It will like fix it right up and the smell will go away. Like that's something that has happened to me too. I feel like every woman, every adult woman has probably gone through it at some point. I'm telling you, like when your pH is off, like shit really starts to get off. And there's a ton of different ways that this can happen. It doesn't really have much to do with sex. It can. Like if you're introducing a new person and that person, you know, has an STD or something, that could cause things. Or maybe it could just be like their skin and the way that they wash or whatever, and it's just not compatible with whatever your situation is. There's just a lot of different reasons why you could have like shit going on, and it's a normal thing that happens. And we have like medical providers who are paid to provide you solutions to that, and you should use them. Because as an adult, and really especially as a person, like basically if you're in high school, when you're a high school freshman, I really think first of all you should be taking that sexual health class firstly. Secondly, you should definitely have an OBGYN. Even if you're not like having sex, that's not the point though. If you have the feminine organs, you know, you are still going to start menstruating. And another part of menstruation, like it was something that was really difficult for me to understand. Like when I was in high school, I had a lot of yeast infections, and it was mostly because I was training in dance. So that's like a physical activity where you sweat a lot, and I would have to change clothes like 2 and 3 times a day. And sometimes I wouldn't have time to change clothes when I went from like one physical activity to another. So I would keep like a sweaty leotard on, and I wouldn't like, you know, wash or anything between. And that's not really normal, like, right? Like after you have a physical activity where you are like sweating and stuff, you honestly need a shower. And if you don't have showers, like we didn't have showers at my school at that time. So what would have been the appropriate thing is I should have had sort of like a system in place where I was like, you know, basically washing in the bathroom with like maybe a water bottle or some other situation where I was able to take care of like, you know, my vaginal health in high school, but no one talked to me about that. So I didn't really know, and I would always get like yeast infections, and I didn't really know how to handle them. You know, eventually I think I figured out what Monistat was and what Vagisil was, but a lot of days I was just struggling with itchiness, and I had no idea what to do about it or how it happened. And I knew it wasn't anything related to an STD because I wasn't having sex, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's really about your pH, and there's so many reasons why your pH could be off. It could be like sweat. It could be like maybe you bought some polyester underwear and your vagina just cannot handle polyester underwear. You actually need to switch to cotton. Maybe you actually can only wear thongs and you can't wear boxer shorts, or maybe your pants are too tight. There could be so many different reasons why it ain't working out, and you need to like switch something about your like routine. There's a million different reasons, and you need to have an OBGYN kind of on call, or you need to understand how you can make an appointment to go see someone to talk about it, because they can test your bacteria, they can test your yeast, and they can tell you like, oh, it's okay, this is a yeast infection. And you can start to talk to them about like what has been different. Oh, you know, I've been working out, but I didn't have time to change clothes. And they're gonna be like, oh no, that's not okay, like you can't do that. And they'll talk to you about different ways to start to take care of your vaginal health. So, you know, it's just some things you learn like as an adult over time, and maybe everyone doesn't know this. And so I just wanted to like make a video where I'm talking about it and I'm normalizing it. Like I am a person with a vagina, so I, you know, had to figure out how to maintain my personal vagina. And if you are a vagina holder, you too are going to have to figure out how to maintain your vagina. And I just realized in the Black community, we don't have that many people who are just normalizing not just like having a vagina and being like fancy and feminine, but like what to do when you start to have some issues with your vagina and who to talk to about it. Because like, yeah, if you don't have parents to talk to about it, just realize that's not actually abnormal. Because I mean, it's fine if you do have supportive parents who want to talk to you about your vagina, but we have vagina health specialists and we call them OBGYNs, and they have a job and everybody should have one. So if you don't have one, go get you an OBGYN or a nurse practitioner. And I'm just saying, Planned Parenthood is available to everyone in all 50 states. So please take your vagina in and go get your vagina serviced, because as a vagina holder, or really this applies to men too, you should probably have like a person who cares for your penis. I don't know what those people are called, but you should have a doctor who is also looking at your penis and making sure that it is all good, because it can't be like your homies or really you, because you haven't been to medical school. So yes, I just wanted to say that, and that's what I want to say. Okay.